With just a few days left of the transfer window, things are finally starting to happen for Arsenal. And while it's not exactly exciting, Aaron Ramsdale has agreed a deal to leave the club and join Southampton this season. In this video, we're going to talk about everything to do with the deal and what my overall opinions are about the sale of Aaron Ramsdale. So let's get into it. Now, straight off the bat, if you don't know, Aaron Ramsdale has agreed a deal to join Southampton for £18 million up front with the potential add-ons of £25 million. Now, this sale, in a sense, has come out of nowhere between the last week, but in the last few days, it seemed more likely it was going to happen. At first, it seemed like he was going to go to Woklz, which probably would have been a better team for him, but in the end, he's landed on Southampton, who unfortunately, he probably will be fighting the relegation battles once again. Now, I thought this deal was always going to be a loan with potentially an obligation to buy where they had to get him next season. I didn't think Arsenal were going to get upfront cash for him, especially from a team like Southampton. And a lot of people are complaining because Arsenal did spend 26 mil up front on him a few years ago and then 30 mil on add-ons, and people feel like his value is more than this. However, I actually think the money that Arsenal got was actually more surprising. I thought he would have gone for cheaper than this, and I think in a sense we've done really well to get near enough about the money we spent on him. We lost about 8 million if the add-ons come true. Now, first of all, the add-ons are based in a way which actually benefit Arsenal. A lot of people reportedly thought they were going to be very catered towards Southampton if they stayed in the Premier League, but there's only £1 million if they do stay in the league, and Arsenal will be receiving the other 7 mil through performances of his home, which I definitely know he can achieve. We also included a sell-on clause in the contract, so if he gets sold, we will get a percentage of that fee, and we avoided Bournemouth's sell-on clause that they had in the original contract because that had to be £19 million and we sold him for 18. So overall, I think that's good work there as well. Now, the reaction I've seen by most Arsenal fans on the internet is definitely a negative one, and I think there's a valid reason to be a bit upset about this transfer. Not only is he another fan favourite which is leaving, but £18 million as the deal right now up front does seem quite low considering how much he was worth before and how much we spent on him. And I do think Arsenal as a team have had quite a lot of indecisiveness with Aaron Ramsdale, I think, over the last year about what we do with him, where we fit him in, and if he can actually have a future at this club, which have ultimately halted his value, I think, and his progression within the team and playing football. Now, straight away, I think this is actually a really good fee. I think we did well to get any sort of money back in what we paid for him, and we only lost around £8 million, and with add-ons it's going to be less than that, so I'm not going to be up in arms about us losing that amount of money because sometimes these deals don't work out, and we lost 72 mil to someone like Nicola Pepe, which in my opinion is a lot worse deal. I also think this kind of needed to happen. Aaron Ramsdale needs to play football. He wants to be England #1 in the future, and he just wasn't playing. And contrary to popular belief, but when you don't play football for a year, your value does actually decrease rather than increasing. So as much as he might have been worth 30 to 40 mil last summer, him not playing last year halted that, and it was in a situation where Arsenal needed to get rid of him more than he needed to stay. And when these situations happen, you're always going to get someone for a cheaper fee when the team don't want someone or he wants to leave, such as Chiesa to Liverpool going for a cheaper fee in that case as well. And this is something that people need to consider. Goalkeepers genuinely on the market aren't the most expensive players. They're probably the cheapest player within the team. There's only a few goalkeepers that really go for that a lot of money, around 50 to 60 mil, and even then I'd say they're mostly overspends, other than people like Alisson who've been really good. And even top prospect goalkeepers, or even goalkeepers that are quality now, go for around the 30-35 mil range, and they're ones that have been playing for years and teams that want to keep their goalkeepers within the team. Now, we didn't want to keep Ramsdale at this point. Maybe we did on the bench, but he didn't want to stay here and he wasn't going to play. David Wright is the #1, and Aaron Ramsdale is too good to just sit on the bench all year, so he kind of demands to play in them cup competitions. But the more the last season went on, I felt like that was becoming less and less for him. And sometimes you have to look at goalkeepers differently in the market to then you're going to look at anyone else. There's only 20 spots in the Premier League for goalkeepers, and the Premier League is the main target that we want Ramsdale to go to because everyone keeps bringing up he's English, but that's not going to do anything for teams outside of the Premier League. And there's only 20 spots for goalkeepers in the Prem, and if he's on 120k wages, which he is on, which we gave him a contract a couple of months before he got dropped, which I think was another poor decision by the club, I think that's fair enough to say that, means that not many teams realistically are going to buy him. A lot of teams have good goalkeepers that they want to play consistently, and they don't really want a goalkeeper like Aaron Ramsdale, especially a lot of teams that don't really care about the certain things that he may or may not be good at. When you couple this all in with the fact that Arsenal did want want £30 million, and the fact his wages are still incredibly high, I just think it'd become a very hard deal to actually move him. And I thought for large parts of this summer he wasn't going to be able to be moved, potentially on a loan, but even the loan to Wolves eventually fell apart and they ended up getting Sam Johnson a lot cheaper for 10 mil. Teams don't really want to spend too much on a goalkeeper because there are so many good goalkeepers out there that can do your shot stopping and even can have the potential to get more. Jordan Pickford has been a keeper that's been very well regarded in the Premier League. Now, he's not got the best distribution, he's a brilliant shot stopper and is always good for England. However, the price that Everton are probably going to ask for him is around £40 million, maybe even potentially more, and no one's really going to pay for that. They're just going to get other goalkeepers which they see fit and end up being a lot better. Even people like Tottenham getting bargains like Vicario show a lot better value for money, and you're only worth as much as people are willing to actually spend on you. And if no one was willing to spend 30 mil on Aaron Ramsdale and teams kept rejecting us and we were getting forced the more pressure to eventually make him leave, they're going to make the price go down, and this is the sort of deal that has to happen. Now, I think this was by poor decisions by the club over consistently years, but ultimately I'm glad that we got at least a bit of money for him and we didn't lose that much. We're Arsenal Football Club. Losing 8 million on someone that did still help us is not the end of the world. Even if you think he's a better goalkeeper now than when we bought him, which I think probably is the case, it's just a lot harder to shift goalkeepers than any other player on the team. This leads into what happens next for Arsenal. Now, with the sale of Aaron Ramsdale, we have made considerable money through the sale of Smith Rowe, Eddie, which is still yet to be confirmed, and Ramsdale now, where we've near enough sold as much as we have bought. I expect João Garcia to come in, who I have spoke about in a video if you want to go and watch that, and he'll probably be the backup for Aaron Ramsdale, while I think we're looking at other goalkeepers like Sam Tickle from Wigan to be that third choice goalkeeper because Hines obviously on loan in Spain. Now, maybe we'll get João Garcia on a lower deal than his £25 million release clause, and if not, I think he's another goalkeeper for the future that, look, may not work out. He may not play a lot and he may not develop, but sometimes you've got to take these risks. I think you've seen that with a lot of our players, and losing a couple of mil on them isn't the worst for a team like us. But this does mean that we have made serious money this year from sales, which I think has definitely been improved. As much as, you know, you might not like this one, I think overall our sales have been much better this year, and I think we've got the team a lot more refined and a lot more condensed into who's actually going to play and get minutes. Now, at the time of speaking, we haven't signed an attacker, and I'm not really confident to sign one or not because I haven't seen very many encouraging reports, but you never know, there could be a market opportunity that pops up, and I think that we definitely should sign an attacker for a little bit more depth, because at the moment I think Nwaneri is actually our biggest and backup to Saka on the right wing, which could be interesting and I like, but he's also our backup for Odegaard in the middle, so there's a lot of pressure to put on a 17-year-old. But with this squad being a lot more refined, like we said, with these sales, I actually think this should point towards a forward signer. Now, I know there's not many days left, we're talking hours now, but with the amount of money that Arsenal have made, and they've definitely experienced reputation boosts in their selling department, I think it is the time to go out and buy a player. I have said multiple times, don't think he needs to be that world-class transitional beast, but someone that just gives us something different, someone that's quick, someone that could be good on the one-on-ones, that could be seen for a relatively good price. Now, let me know in the comments what you think we're going to do or want to see us do in the next few days, and what do you guys more importantly think about Aaron Ramsdale? Disappointed by the amount we're selling him for, or understand that it's probably what we've got to do? Or do you think getting this Garcia guy in is a considerable downgrade, that we should have just kept Ramsdale at the club, which is also a valid opinion? Thank you guys for watching. Lots of Arsenal news, and I'll see you in the next one.